All right, welcome back to Flight Sim 2020 and welcome to the Azurpoly Transall C-160. And this is an aircraft that I really enjoy flying, that I think I've only flown once ever on the channel, and it wasn't even like a video with commentary. It was kind of just me trying things out. So this is an aircraft that I absolutely love flying, but I haven't flown for quite a while. And it's had a bunch of updates, like they've added the custom FMS and all of that cool stuff. So I really want to get back into flying this aircraft, and I want to try and do it properly. So I've got the manual and the checklists up on my screen next to me. And so the plan is to do, how many legs was it? 6 legs around South Africa in the C-160 and kind of get to know it and get into flying it as accurately as we kind of can within the sim. So this is going to be a bit of a learning journey for me as well. And so we're going to be taking it from here at Hoedspruit Air Force Base, which is in the northeast of South Africa. And we're going to eventually go down. If I look at the routes that I planned, so we're visiting a bunch of the Air Force bases. This is an Air Force base. We're going to Waterkloof in Pretoria. We're going to Easterplaat all the way down in Cape Town. We're then going to Port Elizabeth. So now heading along east along the southern coast of South Africa. And Port Elizabeth Airport has it is a kind of commercial airport, so you have scheduled flights with the main airline operators in South Africa, but it's also got a section for the Air Force as well. So we're going there. We're then going to Mthatha and then back up to Swartkorps, which is another Air Force base in Pretoria, which is actually very close to Waterkloof. You can pretty much see the one from the other. And then all the way back up here to Hoedspruit. So that's the plan. And of course, getting to know the aircraft as we go. Now, the South African Air Force does not operate the C-160s anymore, but they did at some point. So this is also a little bit of a historic aircraft for the South African Air Force as well. Okay, but that's the plan for this leg one of our little trip. So let's jump aboard. Oh yes, I don't know why it's taken me to this view first, but I have loaded us up with some cargo, so we are nice and heavy. So we're going to be flying a bunch of stuff around for the South African military. That looks like some fuel and ammunition and things over there. Right, let's jump into the cockpit and we can start going through our checklist. So the weight and balance with all the fuel and payload I've already loaded. But if we go through the before start checklist, interestingly enough, the first thing on the checklist is the fuel valves. Now, it says fuel valves. These are the fuel pumps. So does that mean these up here? Because I'm not actually sure. Does it say later on fuel pumps? Yes. So what would be the fuel valves then? Because as far as I know, what we have to do, this section is all for transferring fuel from some of the tanks to the others. So for example, what I do know is that, come down here to the tablet, it's easier to visualize. So if we look at the fuel, you've got 3 tanks on either side. The C tanks, which we actually have barely any fuel in, not any usable fuel, the C tanks do not feed the engines directly. Only the A and B tanks do, and they do so using these pumps over here. So there you've got B and A for the left and A and B for the right. If you want to use the fuel in the C tanks, you come up here and using these pumps and these valves, you pump fuel from the C tanks into the B tanks. Is that right? Because C, no, we're pumping it into the A tank, and then you use it, or it gets sent to the engines from the A tank. So these to me would be the fuel valves, and at this point, we don't need any open. So the checklist just says, before we even turn on the batteries, fuel valves open as needed. So maybe that would be before you even start. If you've only got fuel in the C tanks, we need to already open these valves so that we can start pumping it into the A tank, I guess. But we're going to leave that as is for now, and then we can start doing the batteries. I don't know why it keeps wanting to jump me to the back here. It's very interesting. Right, so the batteries are up here. So we need to do 1 and 2, and we're going to get that horn, which we can silence over there like so. So that's cool. Okay, then we check the battery's voltage. So here we've got battery 1 and 2, which I think is showing us 27, just under 28 volts. So that's cool. Okay, fire detection system. Okay, so to test the fire system, we have a test button over here, and we should get that and the horn. Let's test that one as well, and then go back and switch that off. Okay, anti-collision lights. So the lights, we come up here, and they are on this side. So we have anti-collision and position lights, I guess, should be on anyway. It doesn't mention that in the checklist. But we'll turn those on because those definitely need to be on. Okay. Fuel burnt indicators reset. That I'm going to have to find. Because when I've flown this aircraft before, I've done kind of quick startup. So I basically know just what you need to know to get the engines running. I've never gone through the full procedures, which is part of the reason why I want to do this trip anyway. So where would the fuel burnt indicators be? It's probably, that's the total. Yes, it's these. Cool, that makes sense. Okay, APU inlet air. So for that, we need to come down here. I'm going to have to do quite a moving around because it's quite a big cockpit in terms of you need to zoom in on a lot of things to actually be able to see what's going on. So APU air inlet open. APU starter on. Okay, there's the APU starting up. Red hydraulic pressure, so that's all over here. So that's actually coming up. How do we know that that's red? Because that's all yellow, that's all blue, that's all green. That's white. Oh no, that's the APU, that's not the hydraulic pressure. So where do I see? Oh, there we go. That's coming up. Okay, generator 5 is up here. This I do know. So that's for the APU. So there's G5 for generator 5. We flip that over. And now we should be on APU power. So we should have things starting to power up. Okay, engine vibration measure. Wow, I have no idea where that is. So I might have to cut here where I spend a bit of time looking for that. Okay, I found them. They're over here, so we can turn those on. I've never ever looked at those in any of my flights before. Right, IRS 1 and 2. Those I do know, they're down here. So we'll set those to nav and let those align. Trims tested. Okay, that I'm gonna have to find as well. Okay, so I'm not actually entirely sure what they mean by trims tested. Found a bunch of things to do with trim, but there was no test button or anything. So I'm thinking they might just mean that these are free and able to move around. So I think that's possibly what it is. So we'll move on to the next thing. Flight controls are free. Altimeter, I'm just going to use the shortcut. Okay, 1023. Okay, fuel quantity, we've checked. Water methanol quantity should be full. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna do this so that we stop having that view jumping all the time because that's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, water methanol is full. We got plenty of fuel on board. All right, now we need to come down here and do fuel pumps. So we're gonna switch all of them on. Check that we have fuel pressure. Okay, so that That's temperature. We don't appear to have any fuel pressure. That's interesting. Is that supposed to come up though? Just because we've turned the fuel pumps on? Okay, I'm not sure. I would imagine we wouldn't have anything yet, even though we've turned the pumps on. We're not doing anything right now, as far as I understand. Okay, air conditioning bleed valves I'm gonna have to find. But if we come up here, the air conditioning panel is... Sorry, is it here? So these must be the bleed valves, and it said they should be closed times 3. So engine, APU, engine. Okay, they're all closed. Propeller sink is down here. Off. Okay, propeller brake. Okay, so found the propeller brakes. They are here. So in the checklist it says off, but we have brake and normal. So I'm going to keep them on normal. And it says 1 and 2, so that's done. Okay, propeller levers, idle. Okay, that's cool. So that's our power basically. Condition levers to cut off, which they are. Idle levers to start, which is this side, and that should change to start. Right, doors all closed. Okay, APU bleed air on. General engine start switch. That's this one. To start up. Parking brake is set. And propeller area clear. So, engine start. I think what we'll do is fire up the engines, get power running nicely to everything, and then we can go ahead and prep the FMS and stuff. Because, yeah, that's actually not in the process, but we're running on the APU. I think we should actually do that now, so you wouldn't waste time with the engines running. So, let's come here and turn on our displays. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Get a bit of light here on the instrument panel. It's a beautiful early morning here at Hoedspruit. Okay, then we need to come down here and turn this guy on and program in the route, because this is actually kind of interesting to use. I have played around with it. I hope I can actually remember, because it was kind of tough to figure out. We might as well turn this on as well. Okay, so if we go into flight plan, in it, we need to go from and to, enter. No, we can just type it at the bottom. Okay, then this is kind of interesting. So I got to figure out which order you do it again, but you use these buttons to select the letter. If you just press it, it gives you the number. So there, that'll give us 1. If I want E, I need to do this and then that to give me the second position. Cool. Okay, so we need to enter F A H S, and we're going to F A W. Okay, so it's a pretty clever little system, although it is not the easiest to figure out. Right, that's now in. Then if we go to flight plan, now I have to remember how to do this. Okay, our routing for today is ANVIT. So So this is going to take a bit of typing. It looks like, oh, that's a space. So it's ANVIT. So we need a V, an I, and a T. Now, I can't remember exactly how we enter this. Aha, there we go. So now we enter that in. Confirm. Cool. We can't do airways, can we? It doesn't seem like. Okay, so we're going to go down to ANVIT and then insert. Okay, so we need to go down to Waterkloof and insert before Waterkloof Vitbank VOR. Where's and then direct to Waterkloof's VOR. Hang on, I don't want to do that because can we load a procedure here? If we go flight plan and we go down here, what is this? Doesn't seem to do anything. Because I remember there was a way that you could load the runway and stuff. And you had to select the airport. Expand. Hang on. Can you expand this? Okay, I was wondering if it would give you airways. I didn't think it would, but you gotta try. Okay, so we go here and we go expand. And then we need to choose a runway first, or we need to choose a star first. Right, it doesn't have any. Great. If we expand this, yeah, so remember this was an issue where you couldn't choose a runway unless you'd chosen a star. So if you have an airport without a star, you cannot load a procedure. Okay, we will have to do a bit of a manual procedure into Waterkloof then. So what I am going to do in that case is put in the Waterkloof VOR. So W K like so. Cool. Yeah, it's a pity. I thought they might have fixed this by now, but yeah, you can't actually. Because we want runway 01. Yeah, it's not possible. So you would expand this, you'd get the list of stars, but Audit doesn't have any. Okay. That's done. If we go back here, I want... So we can also use these buttons. We want altitude. And today we are cruising. It's about an hour and a half flight. We are cruising at 16,000. Okay, so we plug that in, and that means if we use the autopilot, which we will obviously, when we go into pitch mode, it should automatically level out at that and hold that altitude. Just want to see what these do. Oh, radios, and that's comms. Okay, cool. Okay, so actually probably a good idea to have that over there. Okay, I think that's good. Then we can actually go ahead now and start up. Why does it feel like the sun is setting? I thought I dialed it into morning. It appears I've dialed it to afternoon. Does this tell us the time somewhere? It doesn't seem like it. That means we need to kind of get moving, because otherwise we're going to be landing in the dark, which is not going to be fun. Okay, so let's get the aircraft fired up then. Right, engine starter is on. Low pressure tachometer, wait for 2000. Oh, that's when we actually engage this. So we need to click that to start. And then we see that come up. We need to wait for 2000. Now I'm going to have to put the start lever or the condition levers up for both, because that's how it's mapped on my... In fact, let me go and change that control. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, now I have the condition levers on my joystick, so we're over 2000. So let's take one up. And it does certainly sound like engine number one is starting up. Right. Okay, then we can put that back to neutral. We'll turn this on and do the same this side. Watch for 2000. Okay, it then says at 3,500 RPM, which we've obviously already passed, we dial these up to normal, which must be there. Okay, we can switch that off and flip that over. Okay, after start, engine general start switch is off. Generators, very important. We come up here and we do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Spoilers tested. Wow, it's got spoilers underneath the wing as well. Pretty cool. Flight controls free. Trims set. Does it have a takeoff notch? We just set it to neutral then. Okay, hydraulic pressure checked. We do have fuel pressure now as well, so that's good. Taxi light on. Cool. Then some of these other things I think I need to do, like those should be in auto. And there's some others here. Pitot heats. Like so. Okay, taxi. It wants us to start the chrono. Is that this? That's just the clock. Where's the chrono? Okay, that's something I can figure out. It's not super important. Okay, then. Release the parking brakes and test the brakes. That's good. flight instruments checked. I do actually want to get some more light on the instruments since it's getting dark. So there's one. There's another one up here. No, it's this one. For the upper console. And then pilot lighting. Okay, then this one here. And then you can also use this floodlight if you want. So you can turn on the white light. Right, now we can shut down the APU. So we can close that and that. And then it should switch off. And then we can come up here and turn off generator 5. Yellow hydraulic pump to auto, which is this guy here. Set. Okay, we set our flaps for takeoff. And then the last thing we need to do when we get to the runway is high idle on the condition levers. And then landing lights on. Okay, what I need to do now is just bring up the chart for hood spray because taxiing around this place is pretty complicated. Right, here we go. And start our taxi out. What I do need to try and figure out is which way the wind is blowing. Okay, hood spread says 160, so we're gonna do runway 18. Okay, we can get rid of this for now. Okay, so we have to go all the way on to runway 09, left on 09, and then, left on Alpha again, and then all the way down at Alpha for runway 18. It always has to be a vehicle that we need to taxi through, of course. Okay, so this is runway 09, so we're going to turn left here. we're going all the way to the end of this runway and then turning left. Okay, I need to find out our weight. So, total 48 tons. Okay, that gives us, we'll round it up to 49, so we're almost at max takeoff. So 49 gives us a rotation speed of 122. Oh, it depends on our flaps. I set flaps, I will have to check. I set flaps to position 2, which I think is 20 degrees. Our flaps are showing 0. Yeah. Why are they going back up? That's weird. Oh, these we should set back up here. Check at that, the flaps just go back up once I set them. Okay, that I'm gonna have to figure out. So that is gonna be a huge problem. Yeah, we're going quite fast. Okay, but we will do flaps 20 when I can figure that out. And if I use the keyboard command, yeah, it still just goes back. I'll check my key bindings now and see if there's anything that's conflicting. Okay, at 49 tons, flaps 20, we have a rotation speed of 114 and V2 of 117. Yeah, let's check if reverse is working. Cool, it is. That's actually quite powerful. Wonder if I pull these back, that should stop us from accelerating so much. And we're going to be landing at Waterkloof in the dark. Ah, it's not the end of the world. huge Air Force base. Well, it's actually not in the grand scheme of things. It's not a very big Air Force base, but because of where the terminals, well, not the terminals, the hangars, because of where the hangars are and the apron, this is literally the longest taxi we could have done, is exactly what we have to do. (12,159 feet of runway we have. Okay, this is cool. We are going to take the next one. I don't need to taxi all the way down. So this is Delta. And right at the end is Charlie. I don't know what that is. It's not on the Navigraph charts. This is Bravo. Okay, so it is a default airport, so it's not quite correct. Okay, parking brake is set. Right, let me figure out the flaps and then we'll take off. Okay, our flaps are now set to 20. It wasn't my controls, it's just that while clicking around at some point, I had set the emergency lever to retract, so that's why it was automatically retracting the flaps. Right. Okay, so just to double check speeds, rotate at 114 and we'll climb out at about 120 to 1,000 feet, and then our actual climb speed all the way up will go to 180, I think. Okay, let's get the landing lights on, release the parking brake, and we'll also do condition levers to high idle. It does have methanol injection for takeoff to give you extra power. We've got plenty of runway, so we're not going to need that. Okay, here we go. There's already 40 knots. $80. $100. Okay, there's 114. Let's get the gear on, and then we'll aim to climb out at 180. Start retracting the flaps. Okay, flaps are up. Okay, it's 160. Okay, let's get the autopilot on. Okay, we're pitching up quite drastically now. That's a bit much. Okay, so this is actually pretty sensitive. Okay, that's probably cool. Right, down here somewhere is our heading. It's this one. So let's go into heading holds. Okay, then up here I can switch over to GPS and we should be able to intercept this course somehow. So let's see, if we go into radio, it does appear to want to do it. Okay, cool. There's the FOS base we just took off from. Okay, and now climbing in pitch mode, it should level off automatically at 16,000 feet. But what I do want is to see if there's a way okay, that's our heading. There we go, that's what I was looking for. Right, so we are now well on our way, going through 7,500 feet. Let's turn the taxi lights off. We'll do landing lights passing 10,000. I don't know if you're supposed to bring the condition levers back, but I normally do that. Okay, we're climbing out around 180 at 1,500 feet per minute, so that's perfect. Passing over a little bit of weather here. Okay, And part of after takeoff is we need to open up these two. It doesn't say anything about the condition levers, so. We're through 10,000 feet. Landing lights off. And we're now turning onto our GPS course. What a cool aircraft this is. Speed's starting to drop a little. Still climbing at just over, it's probably 1,200 feet per minute. But I'm not too stressed about that. We're 12,000, so we're pretty close to our cruise of 16. So I'm going to leave things as they are, but we'll keep an eye on the speed. Obviously, we don't want that to bleed off too much. So just looking in preparation for approaching at Waterkloof, they only have RNAV arrivals. So we're going to have to just do standard visual approach, because we're not going to be able to do RNAV as far as I know in this aircraft. I guess we could kind of do RNAV if it was programmed into the if it showed up as a star, because I'm not going to be able to plot all of those waypoints. The altitudes we could manage, but without those waypoints in the FMC, we're not going to be able to do that. Okay, 14,500 no. Standard set, and we're 14,500 basically. Beautiful evening. weather whatsoever where we're going. There's a lot of weather behind us into Mozambique. But in our direction, everything looks very clear. There's 15,000, so we're about a minute at 1,000 feet per minute. Once we reach cruise, we check anti-ice, which we're not going to need. Fuel pumps, which we don't need because we are not pumping anything from tank C. And then propeller sync we turn on. Coming up to 16,000 feet now, and we'll see the speed increase as we level off. And just keep an eye that we don't overspeed. Right, we're coming up to Anvid shortly, so we should start a bit of a left-hand turn to go to the Witbank VOR. Sync is now on. Let's keep an eye on the speed as we pass 390 now. This isn't actually working. Yeah, there's our left-hand turn. Now it's working. Oh, because we weren't actually on that line. So 21 minutes to Witbank. So we're going to cruise along for about 20 minutes, actually just over 20 minutes, and I'll join you again when it's time to prep for our descent. Okay, so we've just made our right-hand turn after the Witbank VOR, and so I think it's time to start our descent. So dial this down to 5900. Can disengage that and start bringing the aircraft down for our approach into water. Oh wow, it's pitching up quite a lot. Geez, we gained 1,000 feet. Actually use the pitch wheel? No. I have to use this thing. I should try and map that to something on my joystick actually. bring the throttles to idle. We're only 9 minutes out. Okay, we're landing runway 01. So I'm going to take it out over Pretoria CBD, and then we come in from that side, just over the ridge. That's a pity. I thought there might be a VOR approach, but there isn't, because that we could have done. Let's go to heading select. Oh, right, that resets it. So that's what I want. Coming up to 10,000 feet, or coming through 10,000 feet. So let's get all of this on. Okay, descent check, prop sync off, fuel pumps and anti-ice set. Decision height we're not really going to do because we're doing visual. Parking brake release, that's an interesting thing to have in the descent checklist. That's our descent checklist complete. Set our altimeter 1027. Speed is 200 knots. Still just outside Pretoria. You can see the city up ahead. to see if I can spot the runway and see if we can see Vonneboom, which is out that way. So we want to stay out of their airspace. Or at least we're going to have to cross through their airspace, but above the pattern altitude, which is 6,500-ish, 6,400. It might even be a bit lower than that. We're still at 8.5. That might be one of them there. No, that actually looks like it's in the city. One of them is just on the outskirts, so it won't have any of those buildings around it like that. Also, it's actually further in front of us. We're still right on the edge here. This far over the city, then Vonneboom's fine. It'll be off to our right and in front of us. But we're gonna have to extend pretty far here. There, that's that's the runway we're going into. So we're pretty much perpendicular to it right now. You start the RNAV approach at 5,900. Well, not quite. That's the where you essentially start the glide slope, which seems very low. I'm not gonna lie, we feel pretty high at the moment. We're still 6'9", so about 1,000 feet too high. Ditch the autopilot. Let's get the gear down to help us start slowing down. Yeah, we'll start introducing flaps as well. Approach speed 116, so we'll do about 120, which is pretty much where we are now, 123. Okay, I want to keep it around that 5,900 until we get 2 white lights, and then we will start descending, because there's a little ridge just in front of the airport that we cross over. Flaps full now. onto the glide slope. That's better. We're a little left. A little bit of slipping and sliding after we touched down. But we have arrived at Waterkloof. And for some reason, a lot of the Air Force bases have no terminal buildings. Because you saw at Hoodspray, that whole section where we parked is supposed to have not terminal buildings, but like hangars and buildings. Waterkloof is the same for some reason. Okay, let's get the landing lights off. I also just want to bring these back. There are some buildings down there now. There should be more out here in front of us. I guess it is a default airport, so maybe that's just why. We're actually on the other runway now. You know what's really funny? This is the main runway. I landed. That's why we had such a crosswind. I actually landed on 2-4. And that's why I felt so short, because it's much shorter. Oh, wow, okay. This is actually the main runway. Whoops. So I actually needed to extend even more before I turned. I just saw the runway lights, and I was like, that's Waterkloof. Yeah, I thought the ridge that we came over didn't look quite the same. It's because I've never landed on that runway. Here, this is what we landed on, runway 24, which is where we're going to taxi down now to get to the terminal. Okay, so we made it in safely, but that's a pretty bad mistake to make. So what I should have done is actually flip this over and then set my course to be 100. Oh, sorry. It would have been 10 because it's runway 01. So set my course to 10, and then you can compare that actually lines up with the runway you're seeing in front of you. Because, I mean, we were quite far off. Yeah, so this is the ridge I was talking about, this little hill. You come over this tiny little like dent in the big hill. You actually come through that gap and in. So I didn't see that. Also, I don't think I've ever landed here at night, to be honest. And there's a vehicle for us to drive through. Right, I suppose we could have got the flaps up a little earlier as well. Another vehicle. I'm just gonna park on this side here. Might as well just do it here, just before the truck. A little bit bouncy. Unfortunately, dude, it's just because my brakes are either on or off. There's no axis. Okay, there we are, arrived at our first airbase. Right, after landing, we've done all of those. After landing, fuel pumps off. That can't be right. If I turn all of those fuel pumps off, did the engine shut down? No, because we still got gravity feeding them. Okay, so then it kind of does make sense. This guy off. Okay, then all three of these closed. This one already is. Parking brake set, taxi light off. Engine vibration monitors off. Alright, so that's going to bring us to the end of this video. In the next kind of episode in this series, we'll be heading down from here at Waterkloof. We'll be taking our C-160 down to Aerosoft Air Force Base near or just outside Cape Town. So as always, if you made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, you know what to do down below, and I'll see you in the next one.